MakingAScene.org brings you September 1 is a warning. Build an exit package for every music platform. Right off the bat, we are looking at a fundamental shift in how independent musicians need to manage their careers. Look, if you've ever relied on a digital platform to store your music, your metadata, or your fan contacts, this explainer is going to completely change how you protect your life's work.
So there are certain phrases no musician ever wants to see pop up in their inbox. Words like service transition, or we're evolving, and, of course, the absolute granddaddy of them all, sunsetting. Corporate language is wonderfully peaceful, isn't it? Nothing ever gets killed or actually breaks. It just, gracefully transitions to a farm upstate. But the reality? That language hides hours, sometimes days, of unplanned, stressful work for artists. We're actually seeing this play out right now with Songtradr. They recently announced that their open marketplace will close, or sunset, on September 1st. For the artists who used it as a licensing service, a distributor, or just kind of an accidental filing cabinet, this is a massive wake-up call.
Now, it's absolutely crucial to understand that Songtradr is just the example here, not the villain. Companies naturally change direction. It happens all the time. They're simply moving their active releases and royalties over to MassiveMusic for rights holders, and they're pointing direct-to-fan sales toward Bandcamp, which they acquired. Honestly, that's just business. But the real story here, the part that should make every single musician sit up and pay close attention, is what does not move automatically. Your unreleased demos, your stems, your custom playlists, your bios. Songtradr doesn't offer a magic bulk export button for all that stuff. If you want it, you have to manually go get it before those digital doors close for good.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Access is not ownership. Because the situation with Songtradr really exposes a critical industry-wide flaw in how we all operate. We have completely blurred the lines between accessing our assets and actually owning them.
What's really fascinating here is how perfectly we fall for this little psychological trick. Seeing a file visible in a slick, shiny dashboard feels like a file you actually possess. A royalty report you can download next Thursday feels super secure. An instrumental sitting inside a licensing platform feels like it's safely in your catalog archive. But feels like is doing a whole lot of heavy lifting there. Dashboard access is just a rental. Actual ownership means those files and that data are safely stored in your own local records, totally independent of a login screen or a Wi-Fi connection. Because we've mistaken access for ownership, our careers have turned into what MakingAScene.org brilliantly calls the digital junk drawer. Just think about it for a second. Your distributor holds the only easy copy of your metadata. Some sync platform has the links to your masters. The ticketing company knows which cities your fans actually live in. And some random cloud service holds raw recording sessions you haven't even opened since 2024. Nobody planned it this way, right? It just grew, slowly, exactly like a tangled mess of cables behind a recording console. It was super convenient, until convenience quietly became your business memory. Now, unplugging just one of those cords could shut down your entire operation. I want you to ask yourself this question right now. If your favorite platform literally disappeared tomorrow, what would you actually lose? How much of your music business could you rebuild without logging into it? For a horrifying number of musicians, rebuilding would involve a ton of sweating, frantic password resets, and desperately searching an old dusty external hard drive named something like Studio PC Old Don't Delete. That right there is the real warning hidden inside that September 1st deadline. Section 2, the platform exit package. We urgently need a solution for this. So we fix this by building what MakingAScene.org calls the platform exit package. An exit package is exactly what it sounds like. It's the artist-controlled record of everything needed to move a part of your business somewhere else, without losing its history, its context, or most importantly, its ability to generate revenue. And here's the secret to this whole concept. This is not some panic button you smash after a company announces they're shutting down. Building an exit package is a sign of day one business maturity. You build it while everything is still working perfectly. So, the crucial point is understanding the absolute difference between a simple backup and actual business continuity. Look at the left side of this slide. You might have a backup folder of 2,000 audio files, which is great. Technically, nothing is lost, but they're all named final.wave, final_real2.wave, or the absolute classic, use this one _final_master v8.wave. Without the proper business context, you haven't saved a business asset. You've just created a digital archaeological site for yourself. Business continuity, on the right side, means you have the organized context, the ISRCs, the ownership splits, and knowing exactly which file is the approved master. To really grasp why that context matters, we have to look at the layers of a song. The U.S. Copyright Office makes a very clear distinction. The musical composition and the sound recording are entirely separate protected works. If a music supervisor wants to license your track for a TV show, they don't just need your pristine 24-bit WAV file. They need to clear both the composition and the master. If your rights records and songwriter splits only exist in a little form you filled out on a sync platform 4 years ago, you're going to lose that deal. The business identity of the song matters just as much as the sound of it. And hey, speaking of the business side, please remember this. Contracts keep working long after dashboards stop. Old licensing agreements have this remarkable stubborn resistance to corporate sunsets. They don't just magically disappear because a website decided to change its layout. You might have exclusive terms, territorial restrictions, or media limitations all tied up in those deals. If you ever need to interpret a past contract, you need the actual agreement in your possession. You cannot ask a deactivated dashboard to explain your legal obligations to your attorney. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of Section 3, your source of truth. It all comes down to establishing this for yourself. Setting up a source of truth means that for every single important part of your business, there is one authoritative place, fully controlled by you, where you understand exactly what the asset is and how it connects to everything else in your catalog. The fundamental shift in your mindset needs to be this. The outside platform, whether it's a distributor, a ticketing site, or a new AI tool, should only ever receive a working copy of your information. You, the artist, must always remain the absolute authority on the underlying business record.
We hear a lot about diversification in the music industry, right? Building a revenue stack, streaming, merch, sync, live shows. That is fantastic. But that revenue stack is sitting on top of an infrastructure stack. Your accounting history, your rights records, your fan permissions, your actual masters. A business can look incredibly diversified on the outside, but if every critical part of your infrastructure routes through a single account login, it's shockingly fragile. Real independence means your revenue can move and your infrastructure can move with it.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an actionable challenge for you right now with Section 4, running the exit drill.
Look, don't wait for the smoke to start pouring out of the server room. Try this drill today. Step 1, pick an important service you really rely on. Step 2, imagine you just got an email giving you a 90-day shutdown notice. Step 3, try to rebuild those assets as a story, entirely without logging into that service. If your distributor closed, could you recreate all your releases somewhere else? If your cloud studio vanished, are the raw sessions and stems actually usable elsewhere? If answering those questions requires 14 emails, hunting down a retired manager, and plugging in that clicking external hard drive, congratulations, you just found your weak spot way before a real emergency countdown clock started.
Decentralization doesn't require joining some Web3 religion or learning about blockchains. Honestly, it just requires a boring database, sensible file exports, and good, solid business discipline. You should use platforms aggressively to reach your fans and make money, absolutely, but never let them become the sole keeper of your career. Ask yourself this one brutally practical question. If this company changes direction tomorrow, can I keep making money? Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.